Took my troubles down to Madame Rue. You know that gypsy with the gold cap too. She's got a pad down a petticoat and vine, selling little bottles of love potion #9.
Okay, we're in McKinley Park right now, and it's a real park, but it's also a neighborhood. And you can see the sign, their main sign, to show what the park is. It has a bunch of graffiti and it's kind of messed up. It kind of shows how this is kind of a little bit of a worn down neighborhood. Not exactly, but parts of it are kind of worn down. And now we're going to take you on a tour through the park. And it goes through the entire park. There's an inner one and an outer one. So we're on the side. You can see there are two sides of the park, separated by Pershing Road, which this is not like exactly a road, but it just goes around. So it goes like to get to that area, it's one way, so you can't just cut in there. You have to go around and through there. And this is the park with the lagoon that we saw earlier. And then this is just a big field area. In the summer, you see a lot of people picnicking, and like on 4th of July, they have big like celebrations there. Okay, so here you'll see the children's area of the pool. Obviously it's closed now because it's November, but on summer it's packed. Like there are so many people there, and it just kind of shows how this area is trying to make improvements to make the neighborhood a little better. Okay, so here you'll see the main pool. We saw the splash pad over there. Now here's the main pool. And again, in the summer, it's just super crowded, and you get a lot of people who live in the kind of poorer areas of the neighborhood, and so it's really trying to bring up the neighborhood. Okay, so this house is kind of an outlier because it's really nice and only two people, one couple live in this whole house, and it's their own. And if you come this way, you can see the yard. These are really well-landscaped, well-maintenance yard with lots of plants. See this yard, which is really unkept. And you'll see how it's unkept. And if you compare that to over here, where all the landscape is very nicely done, you can really see how it's an outlier to have such a nicely done yard, and to have the house now, like in most of these houses, like this one, you'll have more than one family living in it, but this one, there's only one. So here you are seeing the shops and stores around McKinley Park. This town kind of divides it up, so you're not going to see stores by houses like you might over here. You're going to see a distinct area with houses and then a distinct area with the stores. And you can see some are under construction, and you can really tell who lives in this area, and you can tell that it's a lot of Hispanic people because you'll see many of the signs for the places are in Spanish. And that just shows you how they're trying to adapt to the people who live here and make it so that everybody can get things they need to. And you'll also see there are a lot of Mexican restaurants here, and you'll see some buildings that appear worn down that are uninhabited, and you'll also see a few houses scattered in, but it's not as diverse as you may see in some places. It's really all central. So here you'll see the Pepsi factory, and this is a major distribution center for them, and factory obviously. And it's just kind of interesting that it's in the middle of a neighborhood. It's not like in the city or something. It's just right in the middle of a neighborhood. So that kind of shows you that they're trying to move this up, and it's just kind of interesting to me.
As we enter back of the yards, you can already see that this community is much more poor than McKinley Park. Today we're going to be exploring some of the housing, leisure activities, and modes of transportation that take place in this neighborhood.
So here we have a playground, and you can see that this playground is actually a pretty small playground, and there isn't any grass at all. It's just a small playground with a little bit of equipment. You can see that there are a lot of kids there, and they have a small area of pavement, but there's really no green space at all. And then as we come this way, you see the houses, and they are all the same. They all have very teeny tiny little yards, and they all have gates around them, and they're all the 2 flats.
The fact that all of these houses look so similar just goes to prove that this neighborhood is not very diverse, and they don't have the means or the money to be able to make it more diverse.
So this area of concrete and this tiny building is their child care center and their playground, and the playground even has barbed wire around it. So this just really shows that this is a very poor neighborhood, because this is all that they can give for a playground and for a child care center. Aldi is really their only grocery store around here, so like by us we have like Mariano's and Jewel and Tony's and stuff and bigger stores, but here it's just an Aldi, which is a really small store, and they're typically known for being a lot cheaper than the other grocery stores, so that also just shows how poor this neighborhood is.
Right here we have a sign that says a proud community. It shows how they're proud of their community and they want to be proud. But over here we have a mural, or graffiti, well it's more of a mural, that says think life, stop gang banging, and it says in memory of our loved ones victims of murder, and that just shows all the problems that have arisen in this area and that they still have problems with violence. On our way to the elevated train, we passed by a couple more playgrounds such as this one, and this one really does have a bit more grass space, but still not a lot. And here we came across this alley, and you can see these little kids are leaving, and this really just shows that these children have nowhere else to play, but besides pavement, this is all they've got. Our final destination is transportation, and we see here is the elevated train, and there are also buses, and this is just one of the many great things about this neighborhood, that the public transit is really good, and there is less need for a car.
We're in Chinatown, and we're going to explore the cultural landscape here and compare it to McKinley Park. So here you'll see that there are a lot of signs in Chinese. Even ordinary stores that we might have around here, like Walgreens, also have signs in Chinese. So it shows you that a lot of Chinese people live here.
This nice building that stores kayaks, you can rent them. And as you can see, it still maintains the Chinese ethnicity and the pattern of how they have architecture. And there's the Chicago River. And over here, there are some more ballparks and other things that people can do for fun.
Here's an example of a grocery store in Chinatown, and it looks like a normal grocery store, but it actually has all Asian cuisine. Here's another example of a grocery store in Chinatown, and you can see that this looks very different from the ones we saw earlier, not like an building with a green awning. How it's the architecture, typical Chinese architecture. Here you'll see the martial arts place, which is also very common around here. Kind of hear the American pop music here, rap music, which is kind of interesting because you wouldn't expect that. Usually in Chinatown they play more of the like authentic local songs, but
We're at the LaGrange Country Club, and as you can see, there are a lot of different leisure activities to be done here. There's golfing, you can see on the picture, but there's also tennis, and there are other things you can do, just like walk around and have a nice time. They also have a swimming pool, which is really awesome. The only problem is that it's very expensive and therefore reflects the kind of people that live here, and therefore they're a bit more wealthy than the people from back of the yards.
as you can see, comparing this to the playground or the so-called park we saw at the daycare center back of the yard, you can tell that this is definitely a much wealthier neighborhood, even just by looking at it.
And they have a lot more grass space. Here we are at a children's toy shop in downtown Western Springs. It's called Beautiful Beginnings. So the sign here that reads, "Children, our greatest earthly blessing," therefore gives kind of a connotation that this toy store is religious.
Okay, so we're here in LaGrange, like the heart of LaGrange, and you can see from these houses that they're all kind of a little bit older, but then none of them look run down. Like in our back of the yards, we saw the houses looked more run down, but here you can see that they're all they might be a little bit older, but they are all very well maintained and well kept up. So you can see all around here. Okay, so here you'll see some local restaurants like Palmer Place, and you'll see the chocolate factory over here with the bear, but you also see a Verizon Wireless, which is throughout the entire country. So it shows that they also do have chains here. The town hall. It has a kind of older feel, but it's still very well kept. Here you'll see a Starbucks, which is clearly all over, not just in the country, but in some other countries. And it just shows how LaGrange is a very modern neighborhood, even though some of their buildings feel rustic, because it is an older city, but it's still pretty modern. Okay, so we're at the Vietnamese restaurant, and they just brought out these things, and we're not exactly quite sure what they are, but if you taste them, they're really crunchy, just like the stem of lettuce or something, and really spicy peppers. And we're not exactly sure what they are, but they taste like nothing. There's no taste at all to them.
There's lime.
And then there's lime also. Here's They have a very interesting choice of scenery. Over here, they have a bunch of American cars.
How small is their apartment?
And
Then why do they like this?
they have traditional instruments there and
We'll see.
I'm not like sick. I'm not saying I have to be with
there. And then they also have a Buddha. But then over here they have like a palapa, tropical.
Several feelings. The Buddha and instruments create a feeling of trying to preserve and honor their heritage, but then the American cars create the feeling that they're trying to appeal to Americans because they are in Chicago. They mainly create this feeling by their scenery.
Ordered the chicken soup, and the noodles are like slapped together. And the pieces of chicken are very large.
And it was very good and had a hint of ginger in it.
She got
Noodles. Shrimp stir fry, basically.
We're here at the Buddhist temple in Bridgeport, and we're just gonna go inside and take a look at the different atmospheres since we don't go to a temple. In the entryway, you can see there are some signs and different things written in Mandarin and in English. From the minute we entered the temple, you could just feel this overpowering sense of simpleness but peace, and this is really brought out due to the amount of natural light. There's no grand windows like in some churches. They may be small, but it's just fills up the space, and the ceilings are very tall, and then there's this shrine with all these Buddhas, and as you can see in the back, there are all these little statues of Buddha, and that really just shows the material culture of the Buddhists. And once again, to go back to the topic about the many Buddhas there, but it just really goes to show also the non-material culture and the belief that in Buddhism, everybody has the capability of becoming like Buddha. They can just follow the right paths, do the right things, and they can become enlightened. And later we saw one of the Buddhists go out and perform a ritual of some sort. We don't really know what it is, but it looked very interesting and really just shows the non-material culture just of their beliefs and how these things are habitual and they just have to repeat these different rituals over and over, just like it is in most religions. And finally, we got a chance to talk to one of the workers there, and she explained to us some very important things about what is done there, who volunteers there, and she just explains a lot of different things that happen at this Buddhist temple.
So that's why. But then our we got special events tomorrow and Sunday. You can see that's why. If it's not, then not normally Saturday. We don't put the format down. Because our group practice is a Sunday. Okay. From 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Then after that, we got kitchen downstairs. Then they will cook some lunch. If that's a free lunch. But then the money where it come from is from us donation. So after that, then we got ceremony. After the group practice and then lunch. Then if people would like to do volunteer job over here, then just like all of us, you see all these people here, volunteer. No pay at all. We got Chinese class, we got art class, dancing class. Dancing class is a folk dance, and then karate class. All that kind of class is for all the youngsters. Quarterly, you don't have to pay. Monthly, you don't have to pay. The tuition is completely free.
And she also talked to us about some beliefs Buddhists have. She explained that they believe that anyone can become a Buddha. And it also explained what steps you need to take to become one. She also told us that it may take more than one life to become a Buddha, and they believe in afterlives. So they are always working to become a Buddha. You can become a Buddha through kindness. Even when it is very difficult to be kind, it is important that you persevere and remain kind. She also told us that your acts of kindness can cancel out your acts of evil. And when your acts of kindness outweigh your acts of evil, you can become a Buddha and maybe even have your statue on the wall. This helped explain how Buddhism is different from other religions because Buddhists believe in more than one God or Buddha, whereas other religions usually only believe in one God. However, Buddhists believe in more than one higher power. This was interesting, especially because we did not realize that anybody could become a Buddha. Even a regular citizen could become a Buddha. She also explained how although there are typical ceremonies, anyone is welcome to come pray at any time, and the more times you come to pray, the quicker you can become a Buddha.
Overall, this was very interesting and taught us a lot about the areas around us. We hope it taught you about the cultural landscape of the Chicagoland area too.
Oy vey, 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 oy Gewalt. כשהגעתי לתל אביב וראיתי מה מתרחש כאן, הרהרתי בליבי, אוי גוואלד, אוי גוואלד, אוי ווי, אוי ווי, אוי ווי, אוי ווי, אוי ווי, אוי ווי, דואי בחוף פרישמן.